TheActuationZone.com, brought to you by ChangeLeadershipGroup.com.
This is Brett Clay, author of Selling Change, here at the Sales and Marketing 2.0 conference in San Francisco, California. I'm here with Gerhard Schwander, the conference host. Hi, Gerhard.
Hi, Brett. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thank you so much for what a great conference you've got here. Now, in yesterday's keynote presentation to kick off the conference, you set the stage talking about the economy, which is on everyone's mind today. Could you review for our listeners some of the comments you made?
Well, essentially, Brett, a lot of people are unhappy about the economy, and I asked people to show by raising their hands whether anybody was in the room who didn't have any headaches, and everybody does have headaches, because selling has become a lot more difficult, and the underlying reasons have all to do with the economy. American economists have introduced what they call a misery index, and when you look at the number, we need to look beyond the unemployment rate, which is about 13 million people. The number that the press is hiding and not advertising really is that as of this year, there are 45.9 million Americans on food stamps. Now the question is, what is the Wall Street movement all about, and why did that Wall Street movement jump globally through Twitter and social media? Inside of 30 days, there were protests on October 15th in 87 countries in over 1,000 cities around the world. So we are truly living in a global economy that's tied together by social media. Now, the underlying numbers in the economy really have to do with the capital flow and the labor flow. Labor flows in a global economy to the country that is the poorest, that has the best labor. So the cheapest labor gets the job, and not necessarily Americans. Secondly, capital doesn't flow. It flows to countries where they have a high return. But when you look at the American banking industry, American banks now hoard about $1.4 trillion in cash. And American corporations are sitting on $1.1 trillion worth of cash that they're not spending because they're risk averse, and they rather deposit their money instead of investing it productively. So the challenge we have is who is creating opportunity? And that's why I'm so passionate about the Sales 2.0 movement, because we have an unprecedented opportunity to improve productivity and to help companies create greater profits so they can reinvest those profits in jobs and bigger opportunities. So I'm not against the protesters protesting. I think that's what America is all about. And thank God we have that democracy, but also we live in a capitalist system where I think everybody needs to understand opportunity is not going to be handed to you on a silver platter. You have to create it yourself.
Beautiful. I say that all the time as well. Now, you talked about, you're saying at this conference that social media is dead, which in a way is going completely opposite of what you just were talking about. The power of social media has been demonstrated with all the revolutions, with the Arab Spring and this what's going on right now. So tell us about how in the midst of all that, you're saying that social media is dead.
It sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? Social media is for B2C. Social business is for B2B. So that's the major distinction. And companies are really fed up with social media, the way it's done in a B2C level. So companies are now embracing social business.
So Gerhard, you're talking about social media, everybody being kind of fed up with it. I mean, we've been talking about it for so long. And frankly, it's actually quite interesting. I know you gave me personally some coaching and mentorship a couple of years ago. You said, Brett, thought leadership is dead. And what you really need to think of yourself now is a community leader. And you said, Brett, you need to get online and make online and all these technologies the center of your world, or you're going to be left behind because technology is so important. And so I've really tried to implement that, and people have been hearing social media drumbeat forever. And frankly, it's amazing, A, that how long we've been hearing it, and B, how sort of few people are still really getting into it and understanding the best practices and how they employ it in their business to drive sales and marketing 2.0 today. So now you're talking about how that's really social business, and that's the answer to the question. So tell us about that.
Okay. First of all, social media is for B2C. It's for consumers. social business is for businesses. And essentially, we define social business as the alignment of content, conversation, and collaboration around strategic business goals, which means if you want to execute on that, you want to first create content that catches customers. You want to stop pitching and start a conversation. You want to move from, as I said, from thought leadership to community leadership, and you want to collaborate 360 degrees, meaning that you have internal and external collaboration. So this is all part of a business strategy, because in the beginning, B2B adopted consumer tactics, and we need to get away from that.
Gotcha. So how are consumer tactics different than business tactics? Because ultimately, businesses are still trying to reach consumers to get lead generation into their CRM system and everything.
Right. Well, essentially, when it comes to social media, that was created for college kids to connect. Right. So there's no ROI related to that type of social media. But with social business, there's ROI. And in this here in this community of savvy business leaders and VPs of sales and VPs of marketing, we heard a lot of stories that they use social business strategies to improve their prospecting or improve their sales funnel by 20% or more and do a lot more business.
Right, and we've heard stories about top-line revenue growth, cost reduction, improved sales productivity, individual sales reps taking advantage of some of these new social business technologies to just blow out their numbers. Really powerful trends that are happening.
Right. And there's another trend, which is when we started the 2.0 conference series about 2.5 years ago. In the beginning, we had companies embrace CRM, get high user adoption, and maybe have one or two applications riding on top of, let's say, Salesforce.com or Microsoft or SAP or Oracle. But now the game has changed. Today we have over, in this room alone, there are about 20 examples I know where those companies have embraced more than 20 applications in their sales organization, where they run 3 or 4 tools for funnel management, where they manage proposals and automate them, where they have analytics that improves their forecasting accuracy from 60% to 95%, where they execute the compensation management with tools that cut down on errors, cut down on shadow accounting, and improve the motivation of the sales force and create a climate of transparency.
Right. Now, Gerhard, when you're moderating on stage, as you do so very well, you typically ask the guest, the panelists, to give 3 bullets that they would summarize for people to take away. So, Mr. Moderator, what would be 3 recommendations you would make to our listeners and readers on what they should really do right now to implement what we're talking about?
Well, first of all, start out with the end goal in mind. You don't want to embark on a journey where you don't know where you end up. So start out with defining what does success mean to you, and then work backwards and find the tools that you need to get you to the success, and not only the tools, but also the processes. And there are over 1,600 sales and marketing 2.0 applications. So you really don't need more tools to build a better house. A shiny, more shiny objects in your toolbox is not going to help you win. You need to have a strategy. You need an architect to build your house so that you can live in comfortably and get the ROI that you want.
Very nice. Great advice from one of the true thought leaders as well as community leaders in the sales and marketing world today. Thanks, Gerhard.
Thank you very much, Brett. It was a pleasure.
This is Gerhard Schwandner and Brett Clay signing out from the Sales and Marketing 2.0 Conference in San Francisco, California.
TheActuationZone.com, brought to you by ChangeLeadershipGroup.com. Copyright 2010, Brett Clay, all rights reserved.